a random review of literature. We talk about random review of literature. Marami kang binabasa. Basahin mo lahat, basahin lahat. Yung mga na mga gusto mong basahin in terms of your research. And we talk about RRL. This is actually the literature that is related to your study. Yun. Literature review is the base for any research done by a scholar, and it is the justification and focus on a particular topic or the area of the study. While there are also authors that said na ganun, asa naman to? Then literature review can also be understood as the thematic statement, and a researcher must defend his views thematically with the help of any relevant literary theory. Whereas, we talk about review of literature, it is a critical analysis of a particular piece of work. Yun yung kalimitang nangyayari sa atin sa ating RRL, diba? We tend to look for literature na related sa study natin. So, doon na yun. Basta all about, kung yun yung nangyayari sa research din nilalagay natin sa RRL natin. But we must also make sure the dates or tawagan ng kuan po kanang 5 years above tawag di gani na Sir Bob kanang dili mababa sa 5 years sa sa RRL. Kailangan natin masabi doon, but however, in our RRL, we must make sure na hindi outdated yung mga sources natin. It should not be below 5 years. No, ngayon, 2020, dapat yung RRL natin is nasa mga 2016 above. Though merong mga researches naman na kino-consider yung mga below ng 5 years or yung above 5 years pa. Okay, so that is literature review and review of literature, the difference between the two. Now, we have here now the difference according to this kind of presentation. Literature review provides the interpretation of existing literature. It brings out the dialects of contradictions between various thoughts, and it indicates the current research place in the schema of a particular field. Excuse me. However, when we talk about RRL, it helps in calculating the impact of the latest information, research gaps, scrutinized initially or further explored, and it provides information for relevant. However, when we talk about RRL, it helps in calculating. Kaya lang, ang nangyayari ngayon sa ating research sa ating research experiences. Pag sinabi nating RRL, dyan tayo parang mamamatay. Parang sinabi nating RRL, Diyos ko, chapteran RRL, di ba? Mostly, chapter 2, RRL yan. Most of the researches. And we tend na, pag RRL, kailangan, be careful tayo sa plagiarism, kailangan nating i-paraphrase and all. Pero we must also remember that these RRLs are really helpful in our researches, though it makes us or it consumes a lot of our time in looking for different literatures that will help our research more publishable. So, kailangan nating bigyan ng oras at panahon talaga yung RRL natin to make it more useful sa atong research. Dili po ta magbutang-butang lang po sa ngalan ngayon lang no butang-butang yung makalimutan po tag paraphrase na. So be careful also in plagiarism sa atong study. All right. So if you want to look for a lot of literatures that will help your research to be more publishable at the same time bankable in the market, you can actually go to Google Scholar. So, diha sa Google Scholar, researches ginatanan nga na at dinhaa. And parang kung makaingon ka reliability of the sources and the literatures, you can go to Google Scholar instead of having it merely in the Google na application. So, you can have the Google Scholar to make it more reliable, your sources. Google Scholar po. Familiar naman tayo siguro ang Google Scholar, di mga ma'ams. Ato lang tag Google, then search lang nato si Google Scholar, pero magawas na po na, pwede na po nato ni kuan ni UI. Okay. So we have here the process of opening our Google Scholar. We must open Google Scholar, search for your topic. Example, education amidst the pandemic, full PDF file. So, daghan kayo namang gawas dito mga ma'am sa Google Scholar. If payment needed, kinamang ko yung mga articles that is actually kanang kailangan og bayad. You can locate and copy the DOI. What is this DOI? Kanang ginatawag natong HTTPS. Kanang mga nakakabutang dito mga website nila, //gov, kemi, mga inana. And then, you can go to sci-hub.tw. Okay, according to Sir Bobby, free doon na dira at tanan ang mga sources. Katong mga kailangan nga bayad, kung makita nato nga mga bayad, i-copy lang nato kaning DOI niya, kana HTTPS na makita nato sa taas, and then, we will go to sci-hub.tw. Ito, ma-download na daw nato na mga memes. So, pakiano lang ko aning kanisya kung gusto ta aning. Gamit kayo ni sa atong researches karon. Okay. Any questions po? May mga questions pa silang uban dira. May nga ma'am, kuan ra kay ma'am, nalibog pa ko. Natin mga questions mga ma'am and sir. Daghan po kuan, naman po yung mga TWGs on deck, mga mutabang utubag. Ate, questions po? Wala? Okay, so proceed ta. Okay, how are you going to organize your RRL by topic? So, this is very useful po mga ma'am and sir. You can have your table like this. We have the purpose, the methods, the results, and then if you're trying to have source number 1, your journal article citation, then you can have there the book, and then the conference paper. So, yan. What was the author's intent? You can actually have this kind of table. Para to make it more simple, at the same time, para mahimong organize ang himuhang RRL. Pwede ka magbuhat ng table, tapos sulat nimo tanan to tanan, or copy-paste ba nimo, and then later on, naka mag-sort out sa mga RRLs nga needed sa imuhang study. Applicable sa imuhang study. Okay. Then, this one. Find literature associated with the topic. Then, search and analyze the literature. These are the tips, ha? Evaluate the paper before reading. Then, cite literature properly. Then, make a summary table of reviewed papers. Avoid plagiarism. There are actually applications karon nga nag-attest of plagiarism, and Turnitin is one of this, rather. So, we must avoid plagiarism, though wala tayong machine na nag-check niyan, pero masyado kasing halata kapag nagpa-plagiarize tayo, kasi para talagang yung words na ginagamit natin are really true sa words na ginagamit ng true author. Then, write a journal article based on literature review. So, these are the tips that are helpful in having our RRL. Alright, so we also have here different sites like this na magamit natin sa RRL natin to make our citation correct, at the same time proper. We have this HTTPS, or the citation machine, and the cite this for me as web service. So you can search this one in Google. So basically, this is for RRL, para ma-cite natin properly yung ating mga literatures na ginagamit to study. Alright. Okay, so the importance of theoretical framework rather. So we're done with the RRL, so we will now be moving on with the theoretical framework. The theoretical framework guides
Hello po, participants. Makita niyo pa si Ma'am Teresa?
Hindi na.
Hindi
Hindi na
na.
po.
Sir John,
Yes po.
wala na si Ma'am Justino?
Wala siya.
Sige, kinsay makakontakt sa iya, sir. Kasi asa gani nga school, bungabong man siya.
Na ako slide niya ma'am, pero siya dapat nag-stop gani.
Sa kuan. Ah,
Nana si ma'am, nana si ma'am.
nabalik ko na. Okay.
Apa.
Mama, dunggan ako, ma.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Nawala, sorry kayo. Internet, wala, nawalag, pinalive.
Oh, sige, ma'am. Go, ma'am.
Okay na ta? Okay, sige. Dilian ta niya. Okay, right?
Ma'am Justin, makita po ang notes, Ma'am
Makita
Justin.
na. Ang
Oo.
notes, makita na.
Okay, next slide.
Hello, Ma'am Justine. Hello, Ma'am Justine. Nawala na pud ka, ma'am. Sir John, dili siya nag-end sa importance of theoretical framework in research.
Okay po. Ma'am Ann? Yes, Ma'am Ann?
Wala pa, Sir John.
Wala pa
Wala,
si Justine, ma'am. Pero naa si Sir Bob.
Si Sir Bob, yes. Or something important magibuhat. Ang Justin. Pakiano sa slide ng Justin, sir.
Okay po.
Okay.
Slide number 20.
Dunggan ako. Nabalik ako, ma'am.
Oh, ayan. Ma'am, you're back.
Tayo, Jazz.
Sorry kayo.
Sige
Ay, isa
po.
to. Okay, patako nga na ta. Okay, sir. Sana ako kung save.
Okay.
Okay, anak yun na. Basta live atong show. Diyos ko, internet connection. Sige, ma'am. So, padayon na. Okay na ta?
Yes, ma'am. Pero makita imuhang kuan. Imuhang side
Notes.
side.
Notes. Ay, sorry, ma'am. Wait lang din.
Okay, ma'am.
Ay, sorry lang di kayo. Makita ang notes na rin sa side. Wait lang, ma'am. Makita ang notes na rin sa side. Wait lang po. Sorry kayo. Makita ang notes na rin sa side. Wait lang po. Maklaro na, ma'am?
Wala pa, ma'am.
Wala pa yung slide, ma'am?
Wala pa slides, ma'am. I-share daw yung slides, ma'am.
Maklaro na, ma'am?
Wala pa, ma'am.
Wala pa yung slide, ma'am?
Wala pa slides, ma'am. I-share daw yung slides. Ayan. Sugod na, ma'am.
Ano, ma'am?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Full screen. Wala pa, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Wala pa slides, ma'am. I-share daw yung slides. Ayan. Sugod na, ma'am. Oh, yes, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Full screen. Ayan, ma'am. Sige, go na, ma'am. Wala pa, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Slides, ma'am. I-share daw yung slides. Ayan. Sugod na, ma'am.
Okay, ka na, ma'am. Naklaro na?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Sige, ma'am. Full screen. Ma'am. Sige, go na,
Yes,
ma'am.
Internet connection. Okay, ka na, ma'am. Naklaro na? We have here some accumulating the theoretical framework. It helps with research. And it will actually be actually be the reason why masasabi natin that we truly understand our study, because we can actually make theoretical framework based on our theories and understanding. Yung indicators ng studies natin, nakakaya natin i-graph yun, i-chart yun, then that makes a theoretical framework. And the conceptual, it provides general representation of relationship between things in a given phenomenon. And on the other hand, it embodies specific direction by which the research will have to be undertaken. So, yan yung sa theoretical framework. Yun yung importance niya. And this framework determines how you perceive, make sense of, and interpret your data. Kasi makikita naman yun sa mga arrows, the charts na nilalagay natin sa study. Okay. So, we have here another example of a conceptual framework. The study is all about experiential learning, and then nakikita natin yung mga graphics niya, ganyan. So, this is an example of a conceptual framework. Ganyan. Para magiging guide natin. So, once our readers will read our research, then they can basically understand immediately the flow of our study, and that makes that is the importance of this theoretical framework. This one. And then, if you want an easy way to formulate your theoretical framework, you can actually go to Lucidchart, this one, and it will just ask an information, and then this website will automatically graph your framework or give designs, at the same time formulate data according will formulate data and then will be given as a chart. So this one, the Lucidchart. Alright, so let's move on. Another example of a theoretical framework, this one, para makita ng yung flow. Another one is this. And then, yun yung mga examples ng theoretical framework. Okay, so let's move on with the objectives and the research questions. So, normally, we are having these 3 questions in our research. We have the RQ1, RQ2, and the RQ3. This is the normal setup when we talk about research questions. And in qualitative study, it talks about the experiences, the coping mechanisms, the hopes or the aspirations of the participants. Mostly, yun yung common na mga questions na naglalabasan pag sinabi nating qualitative researches. In this kind of example, the research question, we have here the purpose. Ito yung purpose. The RQ1 is to identify first. The second one is to assess. And the third one is to develop. Yan yung purpose, yan talaga yung purpose ng mga research questions natin sa ating mga researches. If you don't know, yan yung nangyayari. Bakit parang, di ba, merong parang flow yung research questions natin na parang, pag ganyan talaga, pag research question number 1, yan yung mangyayari kasi yung 2, 3, and all. So research question number 1, this is an example. What influences operator well-being and performance in complex assembly, so on and so forth. And the objective. Ano ba yung gusto mong mangyari sa RQ1? And that is our objective. To identify influencing factors and form a conceptual model of system elements, so on and so forth. So, yung importante lang dito is that you need to understand that the RQ1 is for the identification, and then the third one is for the assessment, and for the third question is for the development of our research questions or research studies. So, yan. In the significance of the study, mga ma'am and sir, is that we have to consider also the 6 P's. Ano ba yung 6 P's? Mas sinabi natin significance of the study, saan relevant yung study natin? First is, sino yung people na pwede nating na subject for yung makakagamit talaga ng study natin. We have to identify them very carefully here in the significance of the study. Yung policy ba, the program, and then present knowledge, practices, publication, and the presentation. How are we going to present our study afterwards, and to whom, and to where, and to when, and ano pa yung mangyayari sa study natin? In terms of the presentation, then definitely it should be stipulated in our significance of the study. Okay. Then we have here the scope, limitations, and delimitations. The scope of the study. Okay, the scope of the study here is why the study is important. I know, the significance of the study contains 3 paragraphs based on 3 questions. Why the study is important, how the study is important, and for whom the study is important. So these are 3 questions normally present in the significance of the study. Now, for the scope and limitations and delimitations, the scope of a study explains the extent to which the research area will be explored in the work and specifies the parameters within the study will be operating. What makes scope of study important is that, kasi sinabi natin scope of the study, alam natin kung saan lang tayo pwede, at the same time, kanino lang tayo pwedeng mag-conduct ng study, saan at kailan, at ano ba yung inclusion criteria natin doon. Sa scope of the study, malalaman natin na sila yung participants natin and meron tayong mga limits. Example for these limitations and delimitations, author, literature, survey bias, small sample size for many studies, kung ano yung sample size mo, large ba or small, lack of power for statistical significance in some smaller studies, so on and so forth. So, I know that most of you know how limitations and delimitations work in our research. So, the importance here is that we must know also the difference between limitations and delimitations. Limitations are actually influences that the researcher cannot control. They are the shortcomings, the conditions, or influences that cannot be controlled by the researcher. So, any limitations that might influence the results should be mentioned also. And when we talk about the limitations, these are the choices made by the researcher which should be mentioned. They describe the boundaries that you have set for the study. Sa limitation, hindi natin control kung ano yung ano na yan. But when we talk about the limitations, we have the power to exclude and include this kind of criteria or this kind of people or anything na kailangan natin sa study. So that is for the scope, limitations, and delimitations. Bakit din basig maanon mo na scope of the study, murag masig take for granted nato sa scope of the study, the limitations and delimitations. We should not do that one because in evaluating your paper, you can defend your paper correctly if you know the inclusion criteria of your research. Definitely, if you master everything na dito lang yan, kasi meron kasing mga questions na, what if ito, ganyan. What if ito, include natin yan, and then, the limitations and the limitations would actually answer those questions that are not included in your research. Kasi, diyan makikita ng mga evaluators kung saan lang yung scope ng study natin. Okay. So, the limitations are features in a study that can be controlled so as to determine the parameters or scope of the study. I've seen researches na alang gibutang dito scope and limitation. Na po yung mga researches na scope and delimitations. And then I thought that those two things are synonymous to each other, but it's not pala. So, when we talk about limitations, these are the things that we cannot control. And then the limitation is that we have the power to exclude and include certain criteria in our research. Okay. Researchers have control over the characteristics of the following: the research problem, the research purpose, the research questions, methodology, variables, and the population itself. Alright. The definition of terms. So, unlike sa atong mga researches before, because as ambot lang pod, sa ako ang naabtan manggod ka, we talk about definition of terms is that we must define the terms in our titles operationally. O, mandun na sa una. And then here comes the new trend that we have to define pala the conceptual and the operational definition of those terms in our title or even in our research. I do believe, sa una, I thought nga sa title lang na siya, pero karon there are actually words na gina-define sa nga katong mga words na ginagamit natin dito nga dili familiar or na ay other meanings sa other field. So, in defining our terms, we must consider the conceptual definition, also known as the constitutive. That is the definition given in our dictionaries. So, yan. Ilalagay natin yan sa definition of terms. And then, the operational one. Paano natin ginamit yung word na yan sa study natin? So, that is for the definition of terms. Okay. Okay na? So, chapter 1. Yun. Na ay, mga questions with regards sa atong first chapter. Apit na ni, chapter 2 na lang man dun ikutob. Any clarifications po with regards sa first chapter natin? Okay lang ta, ma'am, mga ma'am and sir? Okay pa? Okay pa po? Okay naman siguro. Mga hawd naman mo. Siyempre, top 20 good per district. So, kuyaw na jud. Alright. So, let's have now the chapter 2 or what we know as the methodology of the research. Some researches that we have sa chapter 2 RRL lang na. But in our format, in our research sa division or sa atong department, we will be using chapter 2 as the methodology of the study. So, in this chapter, we could find the research design, the research participants, the research instrument to be used, the research procedure, the validity and reliability, whether it's qualitative to mixed, trustworthiness, and the ethical considerations. So, let's have a glimpse of this topic. The research design. Research design are actually this one. The quantitative. I know that you are familiar with the quantitative research design. This is the kind of research that talks about statistical data, numbers, lahat ng may numbers or graphs, ano pa yan. That is quantitative. Qualitative is merely more on the descriptive and the narrative presentation of the study. And the mixed method is the combination of the qualitative and the quantitative study. So, quantitative research design. So, in quantitative research design, the longitudinal research design and the correlational research design. When we talk about descriptive research design in quantitative, it aims to accurately and systematically describe a population, situation, or phenomenon. It can answer what, where, when, and how questions, but not why questions. We are familiar with the 5 W's. However, pag sinabi natin si descriptive, si why. Why questions. And it is a research design that can be used widely, that can use wide variety of research methods to investigate one or more variables. So, to elaborate that one, gumawa na inyong gamiton nga research design sa quanti. Si Sir Bob, willing di kayo na siyang explain ana sa inyo ha. Okay. Sa longitudinal research design. So, longitudinal study, researchers repeatedly examine the same individuals to detect any changes that might occur over a period of time. Longitudinal studies are types of correlational research in which researchers observe and collect data on a number of variables without trying to influence those variables. So, ang example niya is that you have the same participants actually, pag sinabing longitudinal, and then you are going to test the correlationship or the correlation of those imuhang variables. But then, the same lang ang iyahang dili ka mag-change og mga participants anak. Kung kisa tayo imuhang test, maulang dito siya. That is longitudinal research design. Well, they are most commonly used in medicine, economics, and other fields. It can also be be used in our educational system. Then, no set amount of time is required for longitudinal studies so long as the participants are repeatedly observed. So, ang mga participants mo na is same lang yun na and then magkuan ng mga changes after sa inyong mga nabay mga changes and nabay relationship afterwards. Then, we have here the correlational research design. We talk about correlational research design this is a research design where a researcher seeks to understand what kind of relationships naturally occurring variables have with one another. So this is more on looking for the relationship between two variables or more. So, mo man yata ni siya ang kanang kind of quantitative research nga kanang common sa atoa and we are testing if there is a relevant relationship between these two variables and all. And then under the experimental research designs of quantitative, we have the true experimental design and the quasi-experimental design. I'll just give you a meaning of this too because I am not that familiar with this, but I'll just be giving you descriptions and meanings of this. True experimental design is a type of experimental design and is thought to be the most accurate type of experimental research. This is because a true experiment supports or refutes a hypothesis using statistical analysis. Diba, when we talk about statistical analysis, mga ingon gyud tag tama gyud diba kay based on statistics gyud siya. Ana. So, a true experiment is also thought to be the only experimental design that can establish cause and effect relationship. All right. So, we also have here the quasi-experimental design. In quasi-experimental design, the quasi word here means resembling. Thus, quasi-experimental research is a research that resembles experimental research but is not true experimental research. Although the independent variable is manipulated, participants are not randomly assigned conditions or orders of conditions. My dear researchers, if you find it interesting for your research to have this non-experimental or either experimental design, so pag nakapili na mo ani sa inyong gustong, ganahan jud mo ani nila, do not be worried because our research department and our division is very much willing to help you in expounding this kind of designs if you wish to have it on your research studies. So this is just a basic information lang akong mahatag in terms of this kind of design. Alright, so next let's have the types of qualitative research design. So these are the types of qualitative researches. We have the ethnography, phenomenology, the grounded theory, historical research, case study, feminist research, and the action research. Ethnography talks about when you want to study different tribes or indigenous people or any kind of cultures, and if you wish to stay with that kind of environment for a year or for a month, then definitely you will be doing ethnography. Because we cannot do properly the ethnographic way of research if you will not live with their culture, if you will not live with the kind of living they have. And this is only applicable, this is mostly applicable when our study is all about indigenous people and exploring different cultures that they have. The second one is the phenomenology. This is the most used or commonly used kind of research in qualitative because phenomenology, as I've said, it talks about more on experiences, how that person deal with that kind of experiences, and what is the influences of that experiences in his or her life or in any participants that we have. This is very common. Though very common siya, but then very interesting yung phenomenology. Kasi hindi mahirap mag-study ng experiences ng tao, especially if you find it na mali-mali yung pagka-interpret mo ng mga experiences niya. The grounded theory, this is, if you want to use the grounded theory kind of research, then you will be formulating another kind of theory out from the theory na imuhang gigamit. So that is a grounded theory. Maybe you are going to formulate another theory out from the theory that is existing. Grounded theory. Historical research, this is a kind of research that talks about or tackles about different histories of something. So, historical research, you going back to the time na nangyayari yon and then how it influences it yung time, the present time. The case study. Case study is a kind of research that needs to have a deep understanding and deep exploration. It is because you will be dealing with different cases na makaingon jud kag do gamay ang participants ani o maybe upat lang kag participants ani pero it is a kind of research that needs to have a deep understanding and deep analysis. Case study could be a kind of study na kanang a study nga very sensitive study or diha mong gawa si case, meaning you are studying a kind of case na dili usual na nahitabo or it needs to have a more deepening in terms of the analysis. And you must be careful also with the ethical considerations of case study because diha sagaran ma-foul, especially in terms of confidentiality of the data, in terms of the confidentiality of the persons involved, the privacy of the participants kasi maselan masyado or merong mga in case study parang merong mostly nagpo-fall dyan is yung mga masaselan na topic or either sa din na. And then the feminist research, a kind of research that seeks equality, more on parang nag-ground gender equality sa feminist research. And the thing that we need to do in our department is the action research. Meaning, yung action research is pag may nakita kang problem sa room mo or sa classroom mo or sa school mo, even if simple na problem lang yan, and then you have the intervention already, and then you test the intervention if it is effective or not, then that is an action research. That is, and this is what we're going to do in our department. We are encouraged to do action research kasi si action research compared to other researches in terms of time, mas madali nating magagawa si action research kasi yung time niya is parang shorten lang siya unlike the other kinds of researches. As long as you have the interventions and then you test interventions and then you have the result already, then you can have the action research. Alright. So, we have here the types of mixed methods design. Excuse me po, Sir Bob. Sir Bob. Si Sir Bob.
Hello, Ma'am Jazz.
Ay, hello, Ma'am Ann. Should I elaborate more about... should I elaborate more... Ma'am, should I elaborate more on the mixed methods design?
Yes, ma'am.
Should I elaborate more po?
Okay. Sige po.
Okay.
Okay, so...
Okay. Okay. Sige po. Thank you, Ma'am Ann.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So, here are the type of mixed method design. So, the first one is the convergence parallel design. In convergence parallel design, you are going to collect quantitative and qualitative data at the same time. So, yun po siya. Then after that, you're going to converge as to how po yung as to saan po doon nagka-deeper at saan po doon nagka-converge yung data, nagka-pareho. So yun po yung convergence parallel design. However, in explanatory sequential design, we are going to collect first the quantitative data, then after finding the gap, kung ano doon yung dapat na it is necessary to have another collection of data for qualitative. So that is why first yung quantity, then second yung quality, then the quality result will explain or will add unto the result of the quantitative data. Then however, doon po naman sa exploratory sequential design, we are going to collect first the quali. So, sa quali, yung kaibahan po ng dalawa, doon explanatory at saka sa exploratory, kung ano yung nauna, malaki yung letters doon sa methodological framework. So kung malaki kung doon sa explanatory, malaki po yung one. However, doon naman sa exploratory, malaki na maliit yung one. Kasi yung one, yung quantitative data are only supporting the result in the quantity. So, in exploratory, pwede po siya out of the, for example, since you are collecting
Okay. Nana, madungog, ma'am. Okay po ba? Madungog?
Yes po, ma'am. Si Ma'am Ann.
Okay. Ma'am Ann. Okay.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, Ma'am Ann.
Hello po.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Sige.
Okay, so yun siya. So, sa explanatory and exploratory, kung ano yung nauna, for example, sa explanatory is quanti yung nauna, then sa exploratory, quali. So, kung ano yung nauna na collection of data, yun yung malaking letters in the methodological framework. So, back to exploratory. So, di ba, yung una natin kukunin na data is quali. So, we are going to conduct an interview. It's either IDI or FGD. So after natin makagawa ng theme out of those collection of data sa quali, pwede natin gamitin yon as being a tool, gamitin natin as survey items doon sa ating survey questionnaire if we are going to collect another data using quantitative data collection such as conducting survey. If ever yung study mo naman is exploratory in terms of you are going to check if doon sa na-collect mo na data may mga academic performance, so you are going to do an intervention or a strategy as to support doon, to solve doon sa problem na you had studied. So doon naman pwede natin gagawin na mag-collect tayo ng data, quantitative data using tests. So the result of those tests pwede din support doon sa quali data na ating kinukuha. So yun siya yung exploratory. However, doon naman sa embedded, so we are going to collect at the same time pa rin. Gaya ng convergent parallel, sa embedded, we are going to collect the same quali and quanti data. Then i-embed natin, tingnan natin kung ano yung difference, saan doon magdi-differ o saan doon anong tawag dito? Same yung concept. For example, doon sa quali, may themes ka, then doon sa quanti, kung ano yung result ng quanti mo, so doon natin i-embed natin ang sa sequential, embedded sequential design. Dali lang po. Okay, yun lang siya, Ma'am Jazz.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, Ma'am Ann. Because it would be better for us kasi to hear informations coming from those who really master with the mixed methods design. So it would be very different if I'll just be reading to you the definition, unlike those researchers talaga na gumagamit ng mixed methods. So thank you so much, Ma'am Ann. Salamat, nakaayo.
You're welcome po.
Okay. All right. So let's move on now. We are happy to be on with the research participants. in terms of the quantitative and qualitative data. In quantitative, we will have the sample size. We have to determine the sample size of our participants. The sampling technique that we were going to use, mag-off lang kung video mga ma'am
Hello,
answer
my
ha, kay
precious.
parang internet is dili kay siya mag-off.
Hello.
And then the distribution of respondents, the locale of the study. And in terms of the qualitative, in qualitative area, our research participants, when we talk about inclusion criteria, these are the participants na kailangan lang maka-join sa imuhang study. So definitely, we talk about inclusion criteria, yan yung magiging basis kung sino at hindi pwedeng kung sino yung pwede at hindi pwedeng sumali sa iyong research or in the conduct of your research. So, at least meron kang guide at the same time.
Hello.
That will be the basis of your conduct of the study. The number of participants, you must also stress it out in the research participants area. The sampling technique that you're going to use, the characterization, and the locale of your study. I know that you are familiar with this. Okay, so we have here the research instrument. The research instrument in terms of quantitative and qualitative data. In quantitative, we have here the adopted and the adopted. If I'm not mistaken, in terms of the pronunciation. And the researcher-made questionnaire.
Ipakuha na lang ni Diri akong
kwarta. The interview guide. So, what is the difference when we talk about adopted or the ADO, PTED, and the adopted?
Gani. Naman ko Diri. Ipatag na lang ni nako
ADA. So, we talk about adopting an instrument. The ADO1 is, this is the
Dong.
kind of research instrument that requires very little effort. Even when an instrument is adopted though, there will be a few modifications that are necessary. This is the kind of kanang instrument na ginakuha nato sa internet and then we try to revise something from it. Unlike adopted, ADA, adopting an instrument requires more substantial changes than adopting an instrument. This kind of instrument, this one, the ADA, this is a kind of instrument wherein kukuha tayo and then we change it. Alright? We change the instrument according sa atong setting. Si adopted, the ADO1 is that nalang tayo i-modify gamay but then the whole questionnaire itself is yun talaga. And then the researcher-made questionnaire. This is the questionnaire or an instrument to be used in a research prepared or crafted by the researcher himself or herself. So this is wala na tayong tinatawag ngayon na standardized or murag researcher-made questionnaire nga atong gina-download good sa internet. Parang binabawal na yata yan ngayon, I don't know. Pero parang hindi yan ina-encourage that we get instrument from the internet na hindi tayo yung gumawa. And then we call it researcher-made questionnaire. Kasi when we talk about researcher-made questionnaire, this is the kind of instrument na tayo talaga yung gumagawa. And then we tend to have it in mind. And then the qualitative, we will be using the interview guide. Okay, the interview guide, I know, di ba, yung merong probing questions, the research questions, and then the process of interviewing of our participants. So it can be done in the IDI and the FGD. Yan, so interview guide, yung ginagamit natin. Sa quantitative, this one, and then the qualitative is the interview guide. So we have here an example of an instrument na pwedeng gamitin natin. We have the Likert scale. This is formulated by Rensis Likert. Okay, this is a question which is a 5-point or 7-point scale. As you can see, we have here the numerical data, the numbers rather. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then later on, it would somehow give frequency never, agree, disagree. Okay, this one. So this can be used in our quantitative instrument. And this one, a structure of the interview. In our interview guide question, we have here the grand tour question, the interview. This grand tour question. We talk about for participants to answer. It is usually out from the 3 questions, you formulate one grand tour question na ilalagay dito. So, sa grand tour question na yon, lalabas na si experiences, lalabas si challenges, lalabas si coping mechanism. And in your interview guide, and if this is, this is qualitative kind of research questionnaire or interview guide, coping mechanisms, and the probing questions. Now, what is the use of these probing questions? If happens that our participants, or we cannot get accurate participants, that will be the time that we're going to have these probing questions. It doesn't mean na pag merong probing questions dyan, gagamitin na natin lahat. Gagamitin na natin si probing questions. It doesn't mean na inana siya. If our participants cannot, if we cannot get the meat of the answers of our participants, so that will be the time that we're going to use the probing questions. Kasi the use of probing questions is that para makuha gid nato kung sa tong gusto nato kuhaon sa ilaha nga answer. So, pero pag diri pa lang daan, ma-answer na niya, makuha na nimo imong point, then you can you have the choice to not use the probing questions. But in formulating your interview guide, this is now the format. We will have the grand tour question, the interview question, the probing questions, and the theoretical lens. In the theoretical lens, we have there the indicator 1, indicator 2, indicator 3 ni siya dapat. Based ni siya sa theory nga imuhang gigamit. So, if there are indicators there nga gusto nimo ma-test or gusto nimo ma-clarify or makandakan o research, then maybe this interview question number 1 or the RQ1 must reflect what is in the theory that you use in your study or in your research. So, this one. Indicator 1, you find the indicator 2 and 3. Okay. Ana siya. And then we also have here the Delphi technique. What is this Delphi technique? The Delphi method is a structured communication technique originally developed as an interactive forecasting method which relies on a panel of experts. So this is now how Delphi technique being done. First, we have there the facilitator, 1. Then the experts, followed by facilitator, and then the final report. What happens here is that facilitator seeks individual assessments from a pool of experts. So, lalapit tayo ngayon sa mga experts in terms of having our questions. And then, there we go, yung questions natin. Experts respond to the request, receive feedback, and receive their responses. And then after that, kung sinabi natin experts, paramihan yan. Naka-unmute mo, Mike.
Excuse Ma'am Justin. Excuse Ma'am Rinelda, balik ko. Naka-on inyong microphone. Paki-unmute, Ma'am. Okay, thank you, Ma'am. Ma'am Justin. Yes.
Okay, Ma'am Budlo. Okay, so now again, as I said, the Delphi technique states like this: the facilitator seeks individual assessment to the experts, wherein the experts are going to validate, give feedback on that kind of questionnaire, and then after that one, it will be back to the facilitator. Then babalik na naman yan sa experts, and then for final report. So it actually encourages collective intelligence. This is the shared group intelligence that emerges from the collaboration, collective efforts, and competition of many individuals and appears in consensus of decision making. So before maka-decide si facilitator sa kanyang result, then definitely it will flow first on the panel of experts. Okay, the Delphi technique. The research procedure. We have here the protocols, the data gathering, the data analysis, and the data reporting. Let's have first the protocols. Ito yung first thing that we need to do, especially sa inyong study, mga ma'am and sir, nga i-submit nato sa atong division. Endorsement of the research proposal to the District Research Committee. I do believe that it is being done already. acceptance of research proposal by the school's division or the SDRC committee or the SDRC. Approval of the research proposal by the regional research committee. So after it is being accepted in the division, it will be sent to the regional research committee, where it will be the time that your papers will be scored in the region. Issuance of approval of research implementation from the RRC. If your research passed the RRC, and then you are the lucky one na magrantan o birth, then definitely you will be sent by an approval letter from the RRC. And then afterwards, you will have the issuance of permit to conduct study from the school's division research committee, the notice to commence study from the DRC, then permit to conduct data gathering form of the school head. If applicable, if your study is all about NCIP or the indigenous people, then you have to look for permit from the chieftains. And then secure informed consent and assent from the research participants respondents. So when we talk about protocols, these are the things that we need to do first, systematically. So definitely, we'll start with number 1 up to number 8. So dili ta pwede mo ambak diretso inani unless you've done already some of those things na kailangan mabuhat. Alright, so that is for the protocols. That is for data gathering. And in data gathering, what are the data needed to be obtained? Why are they important? Who will give the data? When are you going to get it? Where? How useful are the data in your study? So this will serve as your guide, researchers po, in terms of gathering your data. Kasi mostly marami tayong data na nagagather na hindi relevant sa ating study. As long as nakakuan ta, ato ang manggol kayo, as long as natin mga mabasa din ang related ana. And then we tend to forget, murag nalaylo na ta sa ato ang research purpose jud. So these are the things nga kailangan nato ma-remember. And then how useful are the data in your study? So we need to learn how to sort out data na useful lang sa atong study. Okay. Data gathering, and then for the data analysis, in qualitative, we have the technique. For the quantitative, we have the statistical treatment. In qualitative, you or some of the researchers would actually seek the help of the data analyst in interpreting their data. Kasi, though we are the one who actually did our research, but then it would be more reliable and valid if we seek the knowledge of the data experts. And for the quantitative, but do not be worry about the data analysis in your study, because I think that is one of the role of the DRTWGs to help analyze data, especially that we have this expert members in our technical working group in the division that would really help you analyze your data properly. And for the quantitative, we also have the statistical treatment. Okay, yun yung statistics. And then the data reporting, we will have the results. And for the quantitative, the presentation of the results were in by table. Yan. Okay, so these are the examples of how are we going to gather our data rather. So we have the transcripts, formulated meanings, and so on and so forth. Anyway, you will be given the slides after this. Okay, this one for the qualitative. This is the thematic analysis. Step 1, familiarization of the data. Step 2, initial coding. Step 3, generating themes. Step 4, validity and reliability of themes. Step 5, defining and naming things. Step 6, interpretation and reporting. What is the problem with the thematic analysis is that researchers do not know how to analyze themes, especially when they are new in qualitative researches. Ano ba yung themes? Paano ba yan ma-generate? Okay, so for you to be guided on the thematic analysis, for you to be able to generate themes, we have this example. For example, we have the indicators here. Instruction na, or mauni siya kasagaran niya answer, so mauni siya ang nanggawas and all. Then you try to have this is actually cross case analysis in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 participants were being interviewed, and then kung unsa to siya ang common sa ilaha, ang pinakadaghan nga common, then definitely that will generate our theme. Kasi pag sinabi natin thematic analysis, yun yung common things na lumalabas upon interview natin. So, you can have this table, and then kung pila ka book nag-answer ani, kung pila ka book naka-undergo ani nga problem, ana and all, ang pinaka-dominant nila nga theme, dira amo na siya ang manggawa sa atong generated themes out from the interview. Okay. And then, for the validity and reliability of our data, we have here, in quantitative, extent to which the scores are consistent. Instrument reliability is defined as the extent to which an instrument consistently measures what it's supposed to. So, for example, sa reliability natin is it actually tests the correlation between two successive measurements with the same test. So, example for reliability is actually the test and retest. That is for reliability. And for the validity of our questionnaires or our study, this can be measured, or it refers to the degree to which an instrument accurately measures what it intends to measure. So that will be the time na meron na yung mga criterion, yung criteria na i-measure natin. Kung ano lang yung kailangan i-measure, then yun lang yun. Validity refers to how well a test measures what is supported to measure. For a test to be reliable, it also needs to be valid. So, we cannot say na reliable yung test natin, pero hindi valid. So, kailangan for it to be reliable, it must also be valid. And we have here the trustworthiness of our data. Always remember, mga ma'am and sir, the trustworthiness of our data. We have the credibility, confirmability, dependability, transferability, and the authenticity. Trustworthiness or rigor of a study refers to the degree of confidence in the data interpretation and methods used to ensure the quality of a study. This could somehow help us in triangulating our data. That's one. Ano yung ginagamit. And then, triangulation refers to the use of multiple methods, data sources. Ayan. So, dependability. Actually, murag pare-parehas laman na sila o mga format tanan. We have this one. In qualitative research, mga ma'am and sir, trustworthiness has become an important concept because it allows researchers to describe the virtues of qualitative terms outside of the parameters that are typically applied in quantitative researches. And the Belmont report, which is the ethical considerations, kani gyud. Especially when you are conducting qualitative researches and you are dealing with a case study, you must really understand the importance of the ethical considerations. There are colleges right now who are having this ethical committee wherein meron talagang mangyayaring deliberation in terms sa inyong study, in terms of ethical consideration, especially when you are having this sensitive kind of research, sensitive issues in research. Then research, we have here respect for people, that's for Belmont report, beneficent social justice, and then practical applications for you to be able to pass this ethical considerations is the informed consent, the assessment of risks and benefits, and the selection of subjects. Okay, this is very familiar naman sa ethical considerations. The Belmont report, doon na siya talk about ethical considerations. So take note of that po. And why is it important for us to have or to consider and have these ethical considerations in our research? And that is because of this one, the Data Privacy Act of 2012. We must be careful because when we talk about Data Privacy Act, this protects the individuals from unauthorized processing of personal information. So remember that we are dealing with people, we are dealing with different kinds of participants, and if we fail to establish carefully our ethical considerations, then we might violate the Data Privacy Act. So we must be careful on that, especially when we are dealing with people na very sensitive yung ating study. And okay. So before I end, we have some questions po with regards sa chapter 1 and 2. Ano, ko. We have questions po, mga ma'am and sir. Ano ba na yun? Ano ba? Ano nila? Niudto na ni. Okay, so before I end, I want you to look first muna with this sort of video. Short presentation.
Everybody wants to the process. Everybody wants to be a champion, but nobody's willing to put in the work that it takes to be a champion. Everybody wants to hold up the trophy and say, man, I did it, but nobody's willing to put in the work that it takes to do it. I love the process. I love the thought of working for what I want. Work for it. Your expectations are never supposed to exceed your effort. But a lot of people, they wish, and they're not willing to work. And the great thing about life has a funny way of testing all of us and seeing how bad we really want what it is that we say we want.
What if you get weak along the way and you throw in a towel on yourself, you surrender to your emotions? What then? A lot of people become discouraged, they become frustrated, and they say, oh, what the heck? And they go back to doing what they were doing before, saying it doesn't work.
Take quitting out your vocabulary. Take it out. Cry if you must. Rest if you must. But the worst thing you can do is quit. When you want something bad, you can't count the cost. Because if you count the cost and you see how much it costs, you might give up. So you got to go in knowing that I don't count the cost. I do as many reps as it takes. I study as long as it takes. I pay whatever the price is. You get to a point when you don't count it. You just do whatever it takes to get whatever you want.
Put yourself in a position where you can't retreat, where it's do or die, sink or swim. Here's what you'll find out. You'll develop incredible swimming skills. You'll find yourself stroking unlike you've ever seen before. Through the inspiration of desperation, you'll become more creative than ever before. Throw your whole self into it. So as we look at the future, we can decide that from this day forward, as I look at all the dimensions of my life, looking at myself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I'm going to do all I can do to develop me.
When you leave, what you fighting for? What's your legacy? What you gonna do? You say you a champ, but do you practice like a champ? You say you a champ, do you fight like a champ? You say you a champ, do you have the mentality of a champ?
The universe responds to the man or woman that refuses to be denied. You've got to be willing to stand there and face disappointment, not have support, doubt yourself sometimes, be rejected again and again and again, and refuse to turn around until life gives it up. Nothing can resist a person that has that kind of commitment.
Okay, so my dear co-researchers, are we committed enough to do our researches? If that's so, then it's up for you to take the challenge. Let us not be feared enough na hindi natin kaya. We can do this. At first talaga, mahirap yan, pero pag we are on the process and we found out na meron palang magandang ibubunga yung researches natin, then that will be the time that parang rewarded yung sarili natin. And let us all remember that we are not doing this just for our students, not just for the department, but we are doing this to glorify the name of our God. Because through research talaga, we can look for means kung paano natin isosolve yung problema natin sa ating department. I just hope and pray na isa sa inyo po, mga ma'am and sir, ang makapagbibigay solusyon sa problema na meron tayo ngayon, especially sa new normal setup ng ating department. Alright, so with that po, mga ma'am and sir, thank you so much and good day. May God be praised. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Justine Perez. Thank you po for the substantial information given to us for our participants, especially for those who are neophyte in this research po. Thank you, Ma'am Justine. Okay, so alam ko naintindihan niya ng mga kasamahan natin in this training sa ating mga participants. Very well said
maghilom
po.
na.
Now, let us pause for a while for the next speaker.
You can have your, you can address your biological needs at this moment. It will give you at least 2 minutes lang po. You can drink water or have your snacks in a while po. Pwede po. And before going to to our next speaker, I would like to flash lang sa mga na mga plagiarized na mga nagagawa natin dito sa Philippines. Tignan ko lang, i-flash ko lang ito. While resting, okay, this one, share ko lang. Yan, mga consequences pala natin for not recognizing the authors. Ito, yung plagiarism natin. Okay, while relaxing and readying for the next speaker, ito po mga foremost talk about plagiarism scandals in the Philippines. Naalala niyo ba to? Okay, isa ang mga known na mga plagiarism. This one, vlogger lang yan from our senator. Then it was actually coming from the American vlogger, si Sarah Pope. And here another one, it's more fun in Philippines, 1951 slogan in Switzerland, Swiss. Then another one, without proper attribution by by the Supreme Court Justice Mariano del Castillo. Yan, part of his speech na daw. In Ateneo has similarities in the speech of the President Barack Obama. Yan, and Pilipinas kay ganda po, logo po yan dati ng Holland. Yun mga ating mga nagagawang mga plagiarism na very well known in the Philippines. Alright. So I think we are all set. Tapos na ba ang 2 minutes natin? I would like to introduce to you our next speaker. Ay, nag-ready na dyan siya. Klaro na kayo sa screen. He is a senior high school teacher of Attorney Orlando S. Remando National High School, Maco, Davao de Oro Province, Philippines. He finished his postgraduate studies at the University of Immaculate Conception last 2018
John.
with a degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Education, major in Applied Linguistics. In the current position, he is teaching oral communication in context of 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world, and the practical research also. He currently serves as a Division Research Technical Working Group in DepEd, Davao de Oro, and researcher of TV Escuela, a TV-based instruction. This man is also presented his study at De La Salle University, Manila, and the University of Malaya. Phonemic variations of Mansaka language. It would be very helpful for those who are interested to know the Mansaka language and those who would like to study. So, muna yung study. He is also working out to finish his basic by the Department of Education, which is focusing on the lived experiences of senior high school students' track choice. He made it a point to stay up to date on the most current pedagogy that will innovate his teaching styles to develop relevant curricula for students and to maximize engagement on complex concepts. Ladies and gentlemen, our dear participants, this morning, I am referring to, please help me in welcoming, Sir Anthony Pol Fulache.
Hello,
Sir,
good morning. Madungog ko, wala biyan ako. Madungog ko, wala biyan ako na-check akong audio. Okay, madungog.
Sir,
madungog akong audio.
Po.
Dili, ma'am. Wait a minute.
Okay na. Sir John Mark?
Ma'am?
Madungog akong audio.
Okay.
Madungog?
Andiyan na ba si Sir Fulache?
Madungog?
Yes po, nandito na po. Diyan na po.
Okay, Sir Paul?
Okay na akong audio, ma'am.
Di namin marinig, Sir Paul.
Okay.
Oh, what about the other participants? Okay ba? Marinig niyo ba?
Hello. How about this
Pakitang
one?
sa po ng kamay kung marinig niyo na.
Sa headset po ata, Sir Paul.
This one. Hello. This
Ito
one.
po.
Hindi pa po, sir. Sa headset po ata, sir.
Teka. For a while. Sorry for the... How about this one?
Puno.
How about this one? Hello? Okay na?
Okay, participants, kindly thumbs up kung naririnig nyo na si Sir Paul. Kasi ako lang may problema dito. Wala pa. Okay, Sir Paul, wala pa.
Hello, this one. Hello.
Wala pa, wala pa, wala pa, wala pa.
Wala pa.
Wala pa po, wala pa.
How about this one? Hello. Hello. Hello, this one.
Ano po? Wala
Okay.
pa po.
Pwede ko out? Out, tas balik lang dahil ko?
Sir Jan, may audio na si Sir Paul?
Hello?
Wala pa po, ma'am.
Hello, this one. Alright. Hello? Okay, this one.
Ay, Sir
Okay,
Paul.
ayan na po, sir. Yes po,
Okay.
ayan na po.
Alright,
Okay po.
so, yan. Sorry for the difficulties of audio. Alright, so, good morning
Okay na?
everyone. Good morning na ba? It's 11 o'clock in the morning. So,
Good morning, sir.
good morning. So, I'm here to discuss to you about APA, no? But before that, kay medyo seryoso ang ato ang discussion kaganina about trends, no? Thank you, Ma'am Justin, for sharing us updates and trends, no, about the new trends in research. Okay, so by this time, I will be sharing a PowerPoint presentation. This is a activity or a game, so I will select randomly in my monitor, then he or she will answer. So, is that okay? Okay lang ba? Wala may choice, sir. Okay na lang. Alright, so I will sharing my share. Alright. Okay, nakita din niyo ako ang ano?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So,
Yes, sir.
I call it balloon game, no? Then I will select a participant from my monitor, and then he or she will select, all right? One balloon, and then one color or numbers rather, and then he or she will answer this one. So, are you ready, everyone? Ready na ba? Kaylee, thumbs up kung ready na. Ready na ba lahat? Okay, so I think, sige, dili na lang tamagon. Kato na lang nice stable nga internet connection. Kinsa man ang nice stable internet? Any volunteer? Any volunteer? How about ngita ko ha. Nang off na sila og camera. Okay, si Ma'am, sige kanina lang si Ma'am Ma'am Lolita, Ma'am Ases, and Ma'am Linda. Magtinabangay mo ha. So you have minutes, no, na ihatag na ko sa inyo ha. If dili ninyo masagot ang 10, automatically nga ma-fall ang kaning kuan, kaning naadiri kaning duha ka buok bata, no? So kung dili ninyo makuha. So ready na ba? Kindly thumbs up if you are ready. Thumbs up, kindly thumbs up if you're ready. Hello? No one is responding. Okay na ba?
Go. Sunod ako na.
Okay, si Ma'am Ebre.
Sunod ako to.
Okay, so sige, start na ta ha.
Sunod to.
Okay. Kato na tingog. Unsa nga number?
Click
Unsa
one.
nga number?
Okay.
Please select a number.
Pili lang ka, ma'am. Choose.
1 to 10. Sige.
1 to 10. Number
Two.
2.
Number 2. Okay.
Kaya
FGD stands for FGD stands for?
Focal group discussion.
Focal group discussion. Mali. Sige. What
Design the
number? Number.
discussion.
Another number.
Focal group design.
Focus group discussion. So mali na 'yon. So natanggalan na tayo ng isa ka balloon. Sige, another number.
Patay.
Another number.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Kindly give statistical tool. Any statistical tool. One example of statistical tool. Asa man ko dira? Ato mga kodigo dira. It was discussed by Ma'am Justine. Only one. We have many, but I just recording one. Yes, your answer, Sir Galan. And 5.
Questionnaire, sir.
Questionnaire, correct. So, 8 number. We're done with 8. Sige.
Questionnaire.
Okay, correct. Number. Give me another number. We're done with 2 and 9.
7.
7. Okay, 7 is trustworthiness. Any number. Give me an example of trustworthiness of the study. Nato ganina jud ba?
Reliability.
Na jud notes ba? Ganahan jud ko ani ba kay naa jud sila yung notes. It means to say that you are listening. But the time is running.
True experiment.
Sige, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so we have confirmability, dependability. 4 yun, di ba? Sa discussion ni ma'am is na authenticity. So yan, so kaan na to isa, pila nila nabilin. Okay, sige. Another number. Wala, mahulog na dyan sila. 10. Bonus, of course, na dyan tayo bonus. Ano naman natong ganahan. Okay, any number na po, aside from 1, 8.
Bonus!
Okay na to, bonus ka ng correct.
5.
So, 5. Okay, 5 is type of qualitative approach. Give me one.
Qualitative approach.
Quali. Unsa may mga approaches sa quali?
Peno, sir. Peno.
Phenomenology, correct. So, we have 5 approaches according to Creswell, no? Sige, number. Katong wala pa nato na select.
8.
8. Okay, ethical considerations. Give me one ethical consideration. Adyo to ganina ba?
Okay sa notes.
Asa naman nato
Dapat
mga notes?
manunta ang qualitative ganiha. Lagi okay pa mi sir. Unsa to si ethical consideration?
Unsa man to si
Grabe na.
Unsa man to si ethical consideration, ay?
Beneficent, sir.
Okay, beneficence, correct. So, daghan ta na no, credibility. Yan. So, next, katong data privacy. Ayan. Okay, number.
Okay, wala to makapindot.
Number.
Dahil number na, sa wala. Dahil sa wala.
Oh, last one na lang.
Number 6.
Number 6.
6.
Research instrument. Oh, give me an example of research instrument. Ayaw man naman ni ganina, di ba?
Wala pa, sir.
Questionnaire. Kaganina di ay is is research tool katong mga ANOVA, mga MIN, so mali ta dito.
Research tool man to, sir.
Okay, so karon we can differentiate what is research instrument and research tool. So congratulations, wala ninyo natanggalan og balloon. It means to say that you are taking down notes, you are listening to our speaker. So na-validate na nato nga naminaw jud ang ato ang mga participants. Kay kung dili matanggalan jud ni sila og balloon og mahulog ni sila. Ayan. Okay. Wala na may balloon. Okay? Alright, so let's go to my topic. Actually, my topic is very simple. Okay, very simple for a while. Very sayon lang kaayo, pwede ra ninyo piyungan. Kadali lang ha. Okay. Okay, can you see it, my slide? APA 7th edition workshop.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so no, I just get it from the internet. So para dili na ko maghago og buhat og slides, and just acknowledging the writer or the creator of these slides, no, by Laura Hining, writing specialist, DSC Writing Center. Okay, this is a Prezi slide. Okay, what is APA style? So in research, of course, in education, mao jud ni ang pinaka-common, no? Pinaka-common na makuha unsa man ang APA, unsa man ang APA, no? APA ba na sa kuan ice cream nakaunon? So in education or in research, we have this what we call APA. Marami yan sila, no? We have sa module burag katong kung nagahimo mog module is ang inyo ha is Chicago. No? Kinsa may mga module writer dere. Are you familiar with Chicago? Tas naapod na ginatawag na MLA, no? Modern Language Association. But in research, specifically in social sciences, we have this APA style, no? Yan, like MLA, which most of you have used before, APA or American Psychological Association, that is the meaning of APA ha, American Psychological Association, is a citation style that measures consistency, clarity, conversation, and professionalism across the research of different disciplines. So, you may question yourself, why is it, what is the importance of having this APA? Diba? Usually, naani siya ma-associate into end-text citation or referencing, no? Maglibog ko asa kumutan ang sa ako bang camera or sa ako bang monitor. So sa ako ang camera. Okay, so dira ta mag-dwell unsaon siya pag-apply, unsay proper citing the author, unsaon pag cite niya sa atong mga gipangsulat. So that's it. So APA will help us on how to cite the authors properly. Ay. Ayan. APA style was developed in 1929. Okay, FYI for everyone. So dili lang siya ginahimo sa usa ka tawo. As you can see, it was developed by group of psychologists, anthropologists, and business managers. Since its inception, APA has gone through many changes in response to the developments in research techniques, trends, and technology. That's what bitaw na, ay, nanapoy 2019, ay, nanapoy 2020, no? Changing, no? Dili lang di ay ang teaching style ang naga-change, as well as APA. Before, ang ato ang teaching style is traditional, no? Pen and board, ana lang. Pero karon, nanadyoy na hitabo nga change. Since we are in a new normal, we are kanang forced to adapt the technology. Because this is the way on how we are going to connect with our students because of the new normal. Okay? So, same thing in APA, no? Tanang nagaano pud siya, naga-change pud siya. Kinsa man gud na ang naga-change ana no? Usay kay mangin ko na, ha na poy changes. Usay biya kay maglisod biya ta sa change, no? Ay tiguwang nako ana, dili na ko magkuan. Humana ko ana, di na ko magkanang kuan, mag-change. Pero whether we like it or not, we need to adapt the new normal or the change, no, nga nahitabo sa imong kinabuhi, or else you will left behind. Kaya ang motto biya sa DepEd, no one left behind, di ba? Okay, so 7th edition, so this is the book, no? Okay, this is the current version of official publication manual of APA. So it was released on 2019. Ayan. Okay, let's proceed to APA general formatting, no? This made for students, no, nadali lang nila makuan. Gihibuhat ni ang mga revision para dali lang nato malocate ang mga references, no? Dali lang nato malocate ang references. Mo nang naay mga changes. Dili nato pahasul-hasulon nato ang mga reader sa paglocate sa inyong research or sa mga citations na inyong gigamit. So that's why this edition has made formatting student papers easier than ever. Yan, no? So here, kung makita ninyo sa slides, no, use a legible, accessible sans serif or serif font such as 11-point calibre or 12-point Times New Roman. Are you familiar with this? No? Familiar ba mo aning calibre and Times New Roman? Okay. Familiar ta kay, mao naman ni atong ginagamit, no, sa Word, labi nag we are using Microsoft Office. But then naade ni additional, no, wala lang nabutang dere. Akong ipakita sa inyo, ha. Yan. I'm sharing to you the documents of mine. Medyo ning hang siya gamay. Ayan. For a while. Ayan. So, in APA paper format, no, we have here increased flexibility regarding fonts. Options include Calibre, which is the font style, and the font size is 11. We have Arial, 11. So, the number is the font size. The Arial is the font style. Okay? We have Lucida Sans Unicode, 10. Times New Roman, 12. And Georgia, 11. Before, we learned that in our paper, kailangan Arial and 12. Ang iyang font size is 12. Pero karon sa APA, mao ni ang gi-provide. We have Calibre 11, Arial 11, Lucida Sans Unicode 10. Pag Times New Roman imong gamiton is 12. Pag Georgia imong gamiton, 11. But it will depend on the university. Siguro, for example, kung unsa ilang template. Ayaw pod pag-argue sa ila, ma'am, dili jud pwede, no? Dili ka makapasar. Dili ka makapasar na. So you need to also to ganang follow their template. Ayan. But in APA, this is really their template. Ayan. Okay, let's go back. So, the entire paper should be double space. Okay, kabalo naman ta ana, no? Double space jud na. Pag mag-single space ka, automatic X, no? There are few exemptions. O kung nag-single ka, siguro nakabutang siya sa table or footnote siya, no? Or kato siyang verbatim bitaw or transcript. Ayan. Katong sa qualitative, for example, katong mismong gisulti sa imuhang IDI. So, yan. Student papers no longer need running heads. Ano sabi ng running heads? Nagdagan nga ulo. Actually, sa una na, before the title, for example, the effect of academic performance, example, ingana, no? Na may nakabutang dira nga running head, colon, the effect. Pero karon wala o na siya. Pero wala man punta naga-follow ana as far as I remember, no? In our kanang research here in the division or in other universities, diretso naman title. So okay ra ta ana, no? Okay. Formatting sample. Okay, so akong i-zoom in or zoom out the eye. Yan. So, as you can see, these are the elements, no? You have the page number, you have the paper title, the author, the affiliation, the course, instructor, and the due date. Pero, sa 2A, kung i-follow nato diri sa DepEd, sa Division of Davao de Oro, naatpunte ka og galingong format, no? Siguro if time na mag-submit mo sa inyong proposal or approve na inyong proposal, then we can give you a template for this. So, no worries, no? Actually, ang akong gitalk diri is all about technicalities, no? Dili pwede ni siya iskema or iskem fit nga magbuot-buot ko, no? More on technicalities jud ta dere. So naa jud tay basis ani, which is the APA 7th edition. Okay, let's go to the in-text citation, no? For us to be updated. Usually, in in-text citation, ang atong pangitaon is only ang author and the date format. Okay? Ang pangalan sa author o ang year, no? Or ang date format. If walay author, no? If there is no author, use the title of the work. Sir, wala may author ang akong nakit-an nga kuan oy nga citation nga text unsaon man ni. So, ang title ato, no? Ang title ato imong gamiton. Okay. So, example, whatever is the first piece of information for the full citation and the reference list. If there is no date, use the abbreviation ND. Okay? ND. Yan. If you are directly quoting from a work and it has page numbers, use the abbreviation P or double P, followed by the page numbers for further reference. No? You need to get the pages. Okay, the idea is to make it easy as possible for your reader to locate more information about your sources. So, that is the function nganong kailangan butangan og page, no? Nganong kailangan siya butangan og page for us to kanang or for the reader na dali lang niya malocate ang imuhang sources. Ang problema ana kung gimugna-mugna lang pod nimo ang imuhang sources, no? Dili jud pwede mugnaon lang kay once na imuha siyang i-review, i-review siya sa panel, pagtanaw na kanida sa reference. Pagtanaw niya, gitanaw niya sa website, wala man jud nabutang ani, page error man jud or not in the website man jud. Yan. So dili nato pwede mugna-mugnaon ang ato ang reference. Okay, understood. Also, in in-text citation, we will use signal phrases. No? What are these? Signal phrases introduce quotation providing context. Usually, direct quota according Asuki 2020. Ayan, diretso dayon citation. So dili siya ana, no? Dapat natay mga signal phrases like according to Asuki 2020 that ana, no? Naa siya mga ginatawag nato nga connectors or transitional devices. Ayan. Never begin a sentence with a quotation. So, it's a big no-no for that. Always lead with a signal phrase. Ayaw ibutang dito nga to be or not to be. Ana, dapat na-adjud kay signal phrase, no? Example here is, yan. Akong example ana, mao gyapon ni. According to Godecki 2004, as matinees became harmless and endangered, they less often were called grotesque, and ugly. Ayan, no? Page, as you can see, 107. Grotesque. Ayan. As the 1970s and early 1980s ushered, so dili siya into the direct quote. So nadyo siya signal phrases. Then after that, you provide the citation. Direct quotation versus paraphrasing. Ayan, kani common ni siya nato usay mamali pa jud ta unsa nang direct quotation, unsaon pag paraphrase. Ayan. Okay, short direct quotation must be placed in quotation mark. So you put quotation mark kung direct quotation siya, no? For long direct quotation, it should be less than 40 words. Less than 40 words. Kung mao nang giingon nga sa isa ka papel, isa siya ka paragraph. Tas naglapas na siya sa 40 words. Maoy na ginatawag pud namo usahay og kanang kuan. Too long, 'di ba? Usually pag atong mga nakaagi og masters or nasa doctorate, ang kuan jud na ang comment jud na too long. Make it short or napod ko masubraan pog short kay too short. So kailangan dili siya taas, dili pud kayo siya mubok, no? Ang uban pod, ang ilang pagkabutang dito kay isa ka paragraph pero isa lang ka sentence. Paragraph ba ng isa ka sentence? So dili siya dili siya okay, no? So ang ginatawag pod namo na siya nga lonely paragraph. Lonely siya kay siya lang man isa. Luoy kayo siya. Lonely paragraph. So yan. So avoid that one, ha. And of course, begin the quotation on a new line indented 1/2 inch. Anyway, we have different format for that, no? Sometimes manggod labi nagka ng direct quotation na siya format, pero sa tua we have our new format kanang normal lang siya. Paraphrasing or summary is when you put others material in your own words. So mao na ang ginatawag natong paraphrasing, no, or summary. Kasagaran sa atong ginabuhat is copy, paste, then cite. You are not kanang following the protocol na kailangan naka-quote siya o na-cite, no, mao na siya. But not more than but not more than 40, no? 40 words. So, you need to paraphrase that one. Make it your own words. Then cite. This means more than just changing a few words here and there. Provide the author and year in the citation. Page numbers are optional but recommended. Okay. Optional di ay ang pagbutang og page number. Pero much better or it is recommended na to put pages. Okay, I will show to you a video on how to cite, on how to paraphrase. Okay, make sure to watch this video because this is very helpful for us. Because not all of us are very good in paraphrasing. Tama ba ko? No, dili sayon, dili lalim ang mag-paraphrase. Kung i-paraphrase nimo ang imong literature, mga 14 pages, mag-research pa ba ka? Pag i-paraphrase nimo ang review of related literature in just one day, nga 14 pages. So, watch this video.
everyone. Today we're going to be talking about APA in-text citations. So sometimes you'll hear them referred to as in-text citations. Also, sometimes you'll hear parenthetical citations. These are referring to the same thing. So just anytime you're citing.
Walay tingog, no? Sir, unsaon ganito pag tingog? I'm not familiar in Zoom, manggod.
Hello, sir.
Yes?
Yes po. Adto ka sa taas, sir. Di ba na share screen? Sa tapad niya or pinakalasan na ay more. Tapos sa baba na nakabutang na share computer sound.
Okay, so thank you so much for that. Maka ano manggod ko? Maka Microsoft Teams. Sorry for that. Okay, so I think okay na.
Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about APA in-text citations. So sometimes you'll hear them referred to as in-text citations. Also sometimes you'll hear parenthetical citations. These are referring to the same things. So just anytime you're citing in-text citations or parenthetical citations. And today what we're going to be focusing on is direct quotation. Okay. So that's when you're taking source material word for word. And then we're also going to be talking about paraphrase. And that's when you're putting source material into your own words. Okay? So next what we're going to do is we're going to read a practice passage and then build direct quotation and a paraphrase. All right, so now we're going to read the passage that I've chosen, and we're going to pull out some of the most important information from that to build our citations. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read. Just when academic work becomes more difficult and friendships become less stable, the brain's method of processing emotions undergoes a dramatic transformation. The onset of puberty, which marks the beginning of adolescence, causes changes in brain structure and hormone activity that can make even minor social difficulties like peer rejection extremely painful and hard to deal with. All right, so here's some information about the source. What's most important for building our citations in APA is going to be the author's name, specifically the author's last name. And then what we're going to want is the year of publication, because years are super important in APA. And that's just because the disciplines that use APA, social sciences, nursing, education, the research changes frequently. So you want to make sure that we mention the year. And then also we want the page number, especially when we do direct quotation. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and build that direct quotation. Okay. For my signal phrase, I'm going to put the author's last name, you're only using the last name, and then following that, the year that the source was published. So Jaeger 2017. Okay. All right, and so now at the very end of this sentence, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the page number where the source material can be found. And then the punctuation is going to come at the very end of the parenthetical citation. So always make it. So I'm going to go ahead and read the full sentence. Jaeger, 2017, explains that puberty, quote, causes changes in brain structure and hormone activity, end quote, which can lead to adolescents' difficult academic and social lives becoming even more challenging. So we see here that word-for-word material, which we have right here, causes change in brain structure activity, that's in quotation marks. And we always want to make sure we do that to avoid plagiarism. So word-for-word we have in quotation marks. And then I continue adding some more context in my own words, so summarizing some of that other material that contextualizes the passage. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put material in it. Okay, so still using the same passage, and now what we're going to do is we're not going to have a signal phrase where we have the author's last name and the year, parenthetical citation. Okay, so I'm going to start. All right. So as we can see, I have all of that information about the source now in the parenthetical citation at the end of my sentence. Jaeger, comma, 2017, comma, P period 74. And so what's really important here too is the punctuation within this parenthetical. So each of the separate pieces of information about this source, they're separated by a comma. And also you'll see that P period is used as an abbreviation for page before the 74. Okay, and the ending punctuation comes at the end of the parenthetical citation. We just treat that as and read. As their brains undergo the radical changes that accompany puberty, adolescents may experience academic and social difficulties more acutely. Okay, so I'm not citing anything word for word here, but because I'm summarizing information from this passage, I need to make sure that I do cite it. If I don't do that, it can look like plagiarism, or if it can look like I simply made it up, and so we don't want either of those things. I just want to say that the citations I've been building, they're based on the APA official guidelines, which are from the 6th edition handbook. And just know that your professor might have different expectations for, how you're supposed to cite things in APA. So always, always follow your professor's expectations and rules. And one final thought, it's always better to oversight than undercite.
Alright, so based on that video, we learned how to use the parenthetical, and mo to siya ang process on how to paraphrase, on how to use direct quotations, because sometimes only copy paste lang ta, then pagkahuman you cite the author, okay na siya, pero dili di ay, so based on that video, thank you kang ate, gipahiram ko sa iyang video nga para mapasabot pa nato unsaon pag-paraphrase, on how to use that direct quotation, paraphrasing, unsa man ang parenthetical. So, thank you for that. So, next, in-text citation. Mo ni usually makita nato sa RRL, or dili lang sa RRL, maskin gawa sa RRL. So, you have the one author, Luna 2020. In narrative citation, Luna, ang 2020 is nasa sulod sa parentheses, Kana, very common na kayo na. Two authors, just write the authors, Salas and Di Agostino 2020. So, ang pagbuhat niya na siya sa sulod sa parenthetical citation, parentheses, for parenthetical citation, if narrative is nasa gawas ang duha ka authors, Dali raman siya i-differentiate. Actually, you can screenshot this. Kasi, naay time nga, di na punta maka-memorize, So, kailangan na to guide. So, much better to jot down, Mag-take jud og kaning mga notes about ani. And 3 or more authors, just write et al. Et al na. In-text citation, ha? Pag group author with abbreviation, okay. So, ingani ang mahitabo pag parenthetical, for example, sa NIMH, National Institute of Mental Health, tapos na bracket nakabutang NIMH 2020. Ingana pagkabuhat. Or, sa subsequent, since taas man kayo, subsequent nga pag-cite nimo, pwede na lang nimo ibutang nga NIMH 2020. Pwede na dili ibutang si National Institute of Mental Health, only the abbreviation. The same with narrative citation, ingana gihapon. Klaro man kayo, no need for further explanation kay pag tan-aw pa lang nimo, kabalo na jud ka unsay kalahian sa parenthetical citation and narrative citation. Okay, group author without abbreviation. Okay, Stanford University 2020. Ayan. Mo na ang ruling, ha. So ana jud na kanang naisay kung ang untahay ang nakabutang dito kay Fulache, Peña Florida, Rica, and Jalmaani 2021. Unya kay 3 or more naman. So si Fulache na lang jud ang mabutang dito sa in-text citation. But don't worry, no? Don't worry kay sa reference list mabutang man na siya dito. Pero kung daghan na kaayo, let's see later kung unsay mahitabo. Okay, this is an example of reference list, no? This is the general format. As you can see, na ay mga blue. So ayaw ninyo i-blue pag print na, no? I-black lang siya din kwa ang underline. Title the page references centered and in bold at the top of the page. So makita niyo na siya sa tunga. Dili siya pwede sa kilid kundi na siya sa tunga. Maintain double spacing and do not add an extra space between entries. Oh, double space lang jud siya. Ayaw pag humana ka ni Fulache 20. Nag-space na pud ka. Ayaw na pagbutang space kay naka 20. Nag-space na pud ka. Ayaw na pagbutang space kay naka double space naman siya. Start your citation with the first piece of information you have about each source. This will usually, but not always, no, be the author or authors. Ayan. Use a hanging indent of 0.5 to format entries. 0.5, no? 0.5 dyan na siya. Arrange entries in alphabetical order. So, it means to say na dili pwede mauna si Peña Florida kang Abadilla. So, dapat una jud sa listahan si Abadilla, no? Ayan. Kung si Tapaya o si Diasis, kinsay una si Diasis jud. So, alphabetical. So, kanang kabalo naman taan no kay nag-alphabetical man jud ta sa class record. Ayan, the 4 elements of a reference are generally author, date, title, and source. The publication manual explains each element as such. Ayan. So, these are the most important thing, no, na you need to get. The author, kay ang problema manggod sa atua, pag mag-research ta, pag makuha na tong meat, kuwao na lang siya diretso, ay unya na lang na. Ayaw jud pagpakapoy-kapoy, no? Pagkuha sa author kay pagbalik nimo ana maglisod na ka og trace. Tinuod ba na siya? Sa katong mga nag-research na or uban pa dira nga maskin dili koan into academic research pero naga-research, pagbalik nimo kay nakalimot ka asa man jud to nako gikuha. Then you forgot to get the author, the date, the title, and the source. Relate match man pud ko ana. Oy kay ingana pud ko sa una. Kay tapulan kay ko basta kuha lang sa mga data. Pag adto na sa panel or pag check na sa imong advisor or sa panel nimo, kulang man kadoy og kuandoy. Reference list. Asa man ni ay na ako ana sir. Ko asa ganito na ko nabutang ha. So mao na siya. Pwede ninyo isulat, no? Burara po nag-DepEd password ninyo, no? Feel ninyo kabalo na jud mo sa inyong DepEd password pero pagkataod-taod nawala mo nang mangayo na pud mo og DepEd password. Tinuod jud na siya, dili jud na siya atik, no? Asking yourself these questions as you build your citation will help you to cite any type of source, no? Pwede daghan ba tag mga sources like journal, PDFs, no, online, books, magazines, TV, news ad, etc. Okay, this is an example, no? One author in an article of an online journal from the academic database. You can picture it, no? Dili ba ni nako ma-share ang pwede na ko ni ma-share ang kuan di ay pero online na. Pwede ninyo i-picturean lang pod. Okay, so there is a template actually. Ayo po ninyo kung ano po ninyo. Kung ganahan mo mag-memorize, pwede kayo ninyo i-memorize. Pero kung untay naglisod mo og memorize, well, okay kayo. Approve kay ko ana. Pero ako kay maglisod naman ko og memorize good oy. Hina jud ko og memorization, so that's why ako jud siyang picturean or kopyahon. Kay template man jud siya, no? Na siya author's last name, first initial, year, title of article, title of journal, volume, issue number, pages, DOI or URL. So this is the template. Or kung sa math pa ni, mao ni siya ang formula. Pag makuha na mo, pwede na nimo siya ibutang. Ayan, so that is an example na nasa baba kana si Judeki TL 2004, In the Eye of the Beholder, Changing Social Perception of the Florida Manatee. Ayan, Society and Animals, the title of the journal. Then, ang kanang koan, green, mauna siya ang volume, tapos issue number 2, no? With pages 99 to 116. Then, HTTP, no? Wala siya nakabutang og retrieve, no? Diretso na siya, HTTPS //doi.org. Ayan. 2 authors. Si Lee o si She, no? Mao na inyo ang pagbutang dito. Is a picture worth of 1,000 words. An empirical study of image content and a social media engagement. Mao na siya ang title. Susunduga lang na siya, no? Wala man siya naka-bold, wala man pud siya naka-kuan. Ang naka-italic lang man dira ang title of journal. Ang imo lang buhaton diri para mapadali tan-awon jud nimo ang stroke sa iyang kuan, kung nagtakilid naka-italic na siya, no? Kung naka-normal lang wala na siya naka-italic. Kung naa kay nakuan nga bold kanang bura bitog baga siya pero wala may naka-bold, so it means to say ang imong i-monitor diri kay normal text and the naka-italic siya. Yes, any question?
Sir Paul.
Apo.
Hi, Sir Paul.
Hello, Ma'am Jo.
Wala na siya indention, Sir Paul?
Ana siya.
Wala na siya indention sa kanay.
Okay. So, ang indention ana siya mga mga 5. For example, kaning si Judeki, no? Start nimo sa GOEDE. So, sa I ka, dira na pud ka mag-start. Nakatab na siya.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Mag-ihap jud ka 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayan. So, wala lang diri nakabutang og indent. Pero, i-indent jud na ninyo siya, ha? Sige, thank you for that, Ma'am Jo. Wako kabantay da. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Alright. Okay, according to the 7th edition, you no longer need to include the database name or URL for academic journal articles without a DOI. So, example for this, no? So, mao ni siya ang example. The DOI or URL, you just write the HTTPS, no? Okay. So, we have now the title, the title of the journal, the pages, the volume, and then on how to cite this doi.org. Okay. It was specified, that you should put HTTPS, no, before the DOI rather than just DOI itself. Okay? Kung makita ninyo, balik ko na ko, nadyo siya HTTPS. Okay. What if, sir, if there are 21 or more authors? Okay. Put the first 19 authors' names and then use an ellipsis without an ampersand. Kanang ampersand, kanang an. Diba? Fulache and Atienza. Okay. Katong an mo, ito siyang ampersand. For example, Wala man diri nakasample. For example, katong daghan kaayo 21, only 19 lang ang mag-appear nga name. Tapos mutagan na ni mog ellipsis untay Fulache ellipsis, tapos ang pinaka last mao na siya. Siguro na ako mapakita later. Yan. So this one is a non-periodical web document or report, no? So we have the same format here. So ang title of work is naka-italic kanang violet, no? Ang uban is normal na, no? Okay, so example of this is this one. Pero meron na siyang retrieve from pag non-periodical web document or report. Why is it? Kay ngano na explanation ana kay naga-change man ang ang kuan na to ang blog is naga-change siya. So buot pasabot for us to locate it easily sa katong original post niya, we need the retrieve, no? Include a URL when citing electronic sources, not from academic database. Pag online jud siya, ibutang jud ang URL. Tas kasagaran biya sa tuwa kay online na biya ta. Napabay nag-adtog library. So labi na karon nga dili kay ta allowed na mag-adtog library, no. Sa una naka-remember ko, nag-eskwela ko sa UM kay sa akong masters kay taga-adlaw jud ko taga-hapon jud ko after class mag-adto og library kay dili pa man ka although nanay internet pero mas ano pa jud ang library that time rag ano pa jud kanang functional pero karon kay daghan nag-data makuan sa internet so pwede na dili ka matug ko pwede ka sa balay na lang magtrabaho. Ayan, so mao na ang kuan pod sa technology karon sa new normal kay in research pwede na sa internet, no, acceptable na siya. Pwede na kadili mo atog library kay naman po tayo online library if gusto nimo. Pero kung gusto jud kag kanang actual nga libro jud, sige pwede ra gihapon mo adto mo sa city library or kanang mga universities nga daghan kay mga library. No, side bit ra to. Okay. The 7th edition of APA has embraced the concept of containers, which MLA popularized with the 18th edition in 2016. In APA, containers are called templates or tables. This concept is awesome because it allows students and researchers alike to more easily and accurately cite anything they need to. Example, for the 7th edition table, screenshot taken from Writing Center's APA. So this one, much better na you have this, no? Para dali lang pod sa inyo ha. Before mo mag-research is nanamo ani nga template. Para dali na lang. Pero na ako'y sekreto nga ihatag sa inyo later after the discussion. Kung unsaon mapadali ang magkuan. Yan. Ayan, this is another helpful table. Yan. So, it means to say, ang naka-reflect sa table, mao dyan ang pinaka-importante na mga information, no? Nga dili dapat nimo kailangan nimo tan-awon sa imong sources kung naa ba ni sila, no? Okay. So, however, if your professor requires a retrieval date, then you, of course, want to put 1. So, kailangan, kung gusto sa kuan na naa yung retrieval date, so sundon jud nato siya, no? Kay kung nag-eskwela ta, dili jud ta kapasar. Kay wala man nato siya gisunod. Pero kung karon diri sa research, kung moingon si Sir Bob nga butangan jud, so butangan jud nato, or kung kinsa man ang inyong technical or inyong head, inyong bang principal or sa ba nga mo evaluate sa inyong papel. So I think that's all, no? So thank you for listening. Any questions? I am now accepting questions. Ay, ako pa din i-share sa inyo ha ang katong ginaingon nako nga dali lang mag-site para pod ma-share na ako sa inyo nga dili na nato labad-labaron ang atong utok, no? So, just go to bibme.org. Makita ninyo akong kuan. Makita, Ma'am Jo, ang akong...
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, ato lang mo sa inyong search engine, tas na-adere Bibme free by bibliography and citation maker. Ayan. I-click lang na nimo. Nga check my paper. Tapos ang atong purpose dere is we just only want to create citations. Okay. Okay. Pag-click nimo, ana, I only want citation. Na mo gawas diri nga APA, MLA, Chicago, and more, no? Tas ang akong kay APA, pero kung module writer ka dito ka sa Chicago. So, APA man akong gusto. Double check ha kung tama ba, pero kani lami jud ka ng makatabang jud ni sa medyo hinay-hinay akong net kay nagkamang. Ano siya, your internet connection is unstable. For a while. Okay. So, karon, ayan, mauna na ang nahitabo. Naay ka ng kuandere, search journal article. For example, kani, nga website, akong gamiton, just copy the URL. Tapos, dili man siya journal, website man akong gigamit, just click website. Then, pagka-click nimo sa website, ana, you go to the search engine. Tapos, just paste. Then, search website. Pag-search, ana, na mo gawas nga sample papers, which is mao jud ni siya, no? Just select or click select. Tapos, na mo gawas na URL, ang website title, access date, September, ana na. Then, final step, click. Then, automatically, mugawas ni siya. Walay author na kabutang, pero kung kabalo ka sa author, pwede na po ni mo butangan, no? Tayo, for example, si Josephine, kana siya, Nyawange. Tapos, pwede po di mo butangan ni mo electronic publish or depende sa mo ha. Butangan lang ako og kanang kuan, sample lang ni siya ha. Then, create citation. Pag create citation nimo, mugawas na ayan, gawas na siya. So, copy-paste na lang. Then, edit gamay. Then, mao na siya. So, I think that's it. Kana lang ako ma-share nga kuan as of now related on how to make a reference using APA. So, any questions? Ma'am Jo, I'm good.
Okay po, Sir Paul. Thank you very much. Yan palang bago ng APA. This is a good information sa last parts ato ang book. This is very important in referencing.
Yes. Actually, ma'am, daghan pag kuan, wala na ako na-discuss, no? They can go to search engine sa Google. Just write na lang APA 7th edition, format 2020. Kasi hindi ko medyo marami manggod. Kato lang mga updated. Then I also forgot to say, no, kato bitang he or she, pwede na siya they ang gamito nato. Yan. So, kato lang na kaligtaan ako. Ayan.
Okay po, sir. Thank you po, sir. Applicable pa ba din yun, sir, yung sa mga authors natin sa books natin, di ba? Pag marami silang mga authors, your first name in the book or in in your site, yun ang main author. Yun talaga ang uunahin natin isulat. Rearranging, di ba? In our references.
Pag ano,
arranging
ma'am?
the names. So, ano talaga yung
Pag
ano talaga yung nakasulat na pangalan, yun talaga uunahin natin.
So,
Hindi
ma'am, kung
natin
makita ninyo
i-arrange
sa akong
kung
gi-share
marami.
screen dere, no? Kung makita ninyo sa akong share screen, kaning surnames and initial up to 20 authors instead of 7 should be provided in the reference list. So, kung makita ninyo, ibutang jud nimo tanan, no? Tapos,
yes.
nay ellipsis kung makita ninyo, no? Makakuan ba ko dire? Kaning ellipsis. Dili siya nga natog color. Ayan. This one, siya ellipsis. Dili na ko makan. Kaning si Nelson, kaning number 3, na ellipsis, then Nelson. So, ingana siya pag butang sa iyang kuan, ma'am. Sa 7th edition.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay po, sir. Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Paul. May tanong ba ang ating mga participants for the APA, the 7th edition? May tanong po ba tayo? Okay, parang wala na.
More on technical, manggod siya, ma'am. Dili siya pwede nga kanang kuan. What is the essence of research? Dili siya ingana ng mga question. More on technical. Siguro, if they want, if they want to learn more, pwede nila i-search na lang, no? Kay, makatabang jud para unsaon pagbuhat sa pag-cite sa author o pagbutang sa reference list.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I believe that is very important. Kasi iba na yung format para sa SAP.
Yes.
Format din doon.
Tanan jud mga writers, no? Tanan writers.
Yes.
Maski module writer, no? 'Di ba? Very very kutipod sa mga module ba?
Yes, sir.
But they using
in
Chicago.
Doing a research, in doing a research here in the division, of course, we will follow this technical information given by Sir Paul. Thank you for Sir Paul. That was very meaty information regarding the formatting of our papers po. Now, thumbs up ta kung okay ta. Okay ba ang information na kuha natin? Yay! Okay, a big hand. Okay, so for this time, we will give a break for 1 hour for a lunch break and anything now we need to do for this noon time. And again, thank you to our speakers this morning, Ma'am Justine and Sir Paul, for the very substantial information you've given to us, especially for the new fight in research and the top 20 selected in the division. Thank you and good noon. Have a good lunch for all of us. Sir John?
Hello, Ma'am Jo. Napa-i-announce po daw si Ma'am Annalisa.
Alright. So, Ma'am Ann, for the announcements.
Hello po everyone. Maayong udto. Sorry for madelay niyong paniud to kadali. So later at 1 o'clock, so we will join again, or pwede raman po ta dili mo leave sa room. But we will join again. So pagkahuman ni-assign sa the host will assign kung gusto tong designated na room for the break